In the short time it has been out, Pokemon Go has already managed to bring Pokemon back into the mainstream in a huge way, already surpassing the daily active users of huge apps like Twitter and Tinder. The game has proven to be Nintendo's biggest hit in years. That's a pretty big accomplishment for a game that started as little more than a prank by one of the country's biggest companies. Google has always been a big fan of April Fool's Day jokes, and in 2014 they released one of their best, a commercial claiming they were looking to hire a Pokemon master who used Google Maps. The technology shown off in the video looked suspiciously similar to the game they would help create just a few years later. Along with the commercial, a short game was released that was also pretty similar to the game we know today. Cementing this connection is the fact that John Hank, the CEO of Niantic Labs, the developers behind Go, was still working at Google when the prank video and the game was released. Little did they know, their simple April Fool's joke would be one of 2016's biggest hit games. As some fans probably already know, the initial inspiration behind the creation of the series can be tracked back to the childhood of Satoshi Tajiri. Known as Mr. Bug to his friends in his early school days, Tajiri was a massive fan of insects and bug collecting when he was young. Bug collecting in Japan, especially back in the 70s, was a much bigger deal than it ever was in the West, with kids across the country trying to capture as many species of insects as they could. But the collecting aspect isn't the only part of Japan's love of bugs that inspired the series. In Japan, children and adults making insects fight each other is something of a minor tradition, with fights between Japanese rhinoceros beetles being particularly popular. Tajiri combined these cultural interests with his love for Japanese RPGs and created one of the most successful gaming franchises of all time. Moving on to some actual Pokemon. Many of the series' creatures have their roots in nature. Take Caterpie, who is based off the eastern tiger swallowtail caterpillar, or Poliwag, whose unique swirl design is directly taken from translucent tadpoles. Magikarp also bears a striking resemblance to the strange-looking yellow rockfish. Even plants get in on the action, with Victreebel's look being taken from the picture plant, and Vileplume taking inspiration from the exotic Rafflesia arnoldi, which is also the largest flower on planet Earth. But plants and animals aren't the only things that have inspired Pokemon. Some are actually based in real-world mythology. Take Team Instinct's mascot, Zapdos, who does appear somewhere in Pokemon Go according to the game's files, though as of this recording no one has managed to find him. This electric bird's ability to summon lightning from its wings is extremely similar to the Native American Thunderbird. Many different tribes like the Lakota and the Winnebago feature some version of the Thunderbird, which had many names, though all of them have some mythology in common. The Thunderbird was seen as the spirit of thunder and lightning, and it was able to create a massive thunderstorm just by flapping its wings, much like Zapdos, who was one of the most powerful Pokemon in the original set. Speaking of powerful Pokemon, Moltres, whose silhouette represents Team Valor, was also inspired by a mythic bird, this time the Firebird from Slavic folklore, who has most of the same abilities as Moltres. Vulpix and its evolved form Ninetales also have a pretty interesting origin. They are based on the Kitsune, Japanese foxes that are often featured in the country's ancient myths. The legends hold that the Kitsune have all kinds of supernatural powers. Some overlap with Vulpix and Ninetales' abilities, and some, like the power to possess women through their breasts, have not made their way into the world of Pokemon. The most notable similarity is the multiple tails that the Kitsune were said to have. The older and wiser the creature was, the more tails it had. This is reflected in the evolution of Vulpix, who of course has more tails once he turns into Ninetales. In the end though, the biggest inspiration behind Pokemon Go has nothing to do with the Pokemon themselves. Niantic's previous augmented reality game, Ingress, in which players from opposing factions battled over control of portals found throughout the world, serves as the groundwork that all Pokemon Go is built on. The locations tagged in Go actually come directly from Ingress players, who have created a worldwide data pool for the game since 2011. According to Hank, we basically defined the kinds of places we wanted to be part of the game. Things that were public artwork, that were historical sites, that were buildings with some unique architectural history or characteristic, or unique local businesses. So if you're a big Pokemon Go fan, thank an Ingress player. This community-driven way of marking locations is also why even places like Antarctica and the North Pole have a few Pokestops. No comment showcase this week, but be sure to subscribe, like, and comment to make sure we keep on making more Pokemon stuff. So, in last week's trivia, we asked you to name Alan Lee's sister in the Fallout 4 expansion Far Harbor, and the answer was C, Sandra. This week we're letting you off a little bit easy with an old school Pokemon question. What Pokemon does Magikarp evolve into? A. Seaking, B. Kyogre, C. Lapras, or D. Gyarados? Tell me your answer in the comment section below and tell me what Pokemon you have caught in Pokemon Go and brag about it because I can't run it on my crappy old iPhone. Yay! Lucky you getting to play Pokemon Go. I envy you. Anyway, I'll see you guys on next week's Hidden History.